What's up, guys? Welcome back to Among the Fence. On today's album review, we're going to be talking about Everyone Loves You Once You Leave Them by the Amity Affliction. Yep. Everyone Loves You Once You Leave Them is Amity Affliction's seventh studio album. They started about 2003. They're from Australia, and they are considered a metalcore band, but after listening to this album, I'd say they're more like emo popcore. Amity Affliction has always been kind of a weird band. I haven't really been a fan of any of their albums, to be honest. They're just a little bit too much for me. And their last album, Misery, was probably one of the most confusing things I've ever heard. They're probably just a little bit too emo-y for my taste, and they use a little bit too much synth sounds in their songs and too many crazy effects, especially on their vocals. But one thing I gotta say about this album is the production on it's pretty good considering all those things included, but it does get a little compressed sometimes. And honestly, the only song that I really felt any decency towards was probably the song All I Do Is Sink. And even then, it was just barely. It has a decent rhythm, it's got an okay riff. Joel Birch's vocals on the verses they're enjoyable. They're not bad. But then once you get to like the pre-chorus and the chorus, it all just falls apart really fast. One of the lyrics from the pre-chorus is, "I can't breathe, oh no," which is just so unbelievably bad. And the overuse of poppy synthetic music passages just kills off any chance that this song or this album have of being listenable. I just can't get over how horrible the lyrics throughout this entire album are. It's not just sections or one song. Every single song is chock full of just god-awful lyrics, and the music is so lazy. This whole album is almost insulting to the listener. Everybody Loves You Once You Leave Them is an album that like Imagine Dragons would make if they decided to try metal. And the song Baltimore Rain starts out with this kind of synthetic beat, and it has this very just boring riff, and the pre-chorus feels lazy, and the chorus sounds dreadful, and the vocals are awful, and the lyrics are just crappy and as repetitive as could be. And the song Aloneliness, which the name alone made me feel nauseated. If that doesn't tell you how just emo driven this whole album is, I don't know what to tell you. Aloneliness has these vocal effects that just sound like everything is auto-tuned to hell. And then once we get to the verse, we have this piano and this snapping beat. And again, the lyrics are super cheesy and hardcore emo. And by hardcore, I don't mean like the music is hardcore. I mean like it's emo AF. And not only that, but the lyrics try so hard to be relatable, and they just aren't. And the song Just Like Me is also just bad all around. It's just another horrible song. Again, the lyrics in the song are just so cringy and dated, it's laughable, especially in the chorus. Da 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 da. And the bridge has the most atrocious vocal effect I've ever heard. You could barely even tell that there's words in it. Like that's how it's so just overdone and it's overused on this whole album. I can literally go through this entire album and pick out every single song and tell you how horrible they are just because it's rinse and repeat of god-awful songwriting. And the second song on the album, All My Friends Are Dead, sets the entire tone for the album. Don't be fooled by the first song on the album, Coffin, the intro song, because it's actually pretty decent and all of its redeeming qualities are completely lost throughout the rest of it. All My Friends Are Dead kind of reminded me of like the poppy stuff that We Came As Romans did on Cold Like War. But if We Came As Romans was just really, really bad at making music. But at the same time, while I was listening to that song, I was like, you know what? Maybe there might be something kind of good in this album, but it just gets worse and worse as it goes. The song Born to Lose started out with a pretty promising riff. I was actually like, okay, now this is something that might sound good. But as soon as it hit the verse, it just lost all of its balls. I even had hope for the song directly after it, Fever Dream. But again, the music just became so dull and everything about it was just very lazy. There's a lyric in verse 2 of Fever Dream that says, "My heavy heart is heavy often." The lyrics in this whole album are just so, like I said, it's almost insulting. It's like that's something that a high schooler would write in their journal back in like 2003 when they're going through their emo phase. And the closing song, Catatonia, it's the same. It sucked. The lyrics in the chorus of Catatonia say, I know that I should be happy. I know that I should be all of these things. It's just that the weather keeps changing. If only I could be happy. If only for more than one day. I'm pretty sure everybody could probably write that in their journal at least one time in their life between the ages of like 11 and 16. And that is one thing I will give the Amity Affliction credit for. Because when they started out back in 2003, that was like the music to be listening to. You were listening to Hawthorne Heights, just all these very emo-y bands that were kind of heavy but had like clean vocals, and it just tore your heart out. And the Amity Affliction has stuck to their guns ever since. They still make that same kind of music, which maybe it's genius. I don't know. Maybe kids are still into that kind of music that are in like high school and stuff, but I just don't really see it. And I want to really give this album an unlistenable rating because it's like I said, it's almost offensive. But as I was reading the lyrics and I was learning about what the actual songs were about and like the little notes and stuff like that, these songs are actually very deep in their meaning, and they're very sincere, and they're very real. And like, it talks about struggling with a friend that died. That's what this album's name actually comes from. Everybody Loves You Once You're Gone is one of the band members was at a funeral for one of his friends. And I guess he started to realize that most of the people that were there, his friend hadn't even talked to in years. And now all of a sudden that he died, these people just showed up at his funeral and they're like, we miss him so much. And because of that, it makes me want to bump the rating up a little bit more. Just because there's a lot of passion that went into these songwriting, but again, I just feel like they're not good songwriters. So with all that said, I gotta give Everyone Loves You Once You Leave Them by the Amity Affliction a 2 out of 10. And again, the only reason why it gets that 2 bump is because of the contents and the realness that went into this album. But again, it gets hardly anything because of just how crappy the music is, how horrible the lyrics are, and it's just laziness. Honestly, a lot of passion went into it, but then again, no effort, it felt like. But dare I say, I want to know what you guys think. So if you've listened to Everyone Loves You Once You Leave Them, go ahead and leave a comment below letting me know what you think. And if you enjoyed this review, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more like it, click the subscribe button and ring the little bell icon so you get notified of my future uploads. And I hope you guys all have a good rest of your day and you're staying safe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
I was trying